Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining in today to our Facebook Live for Women Get It. We are here with Colin Callahan with Ackland Avenue and Steve Proctor, the CEO of EdgeNet. So before we get started, just wanted to put a quick announcement out there for everyone. If you want to ask any questions as a part of this Facebook Live, feel free to put them in the question box, or if you're on Instagram, over here we have an Instagram camera going, feel free to ask questions. We have the hashtag behind us, so we have someone live tweeting this Facebook Live, so feel free to use that hashtag and we can get those questions on Twitter as well. So today we are going to be talking to some male leaders in Nashville over basically cultivating women's careers and helping them move forward through their career, and what you guys are doing within your companies and doing within your communities to help women in the technical field. So that's what we're going to be covering today. So if you guys want to give like a quick introduction, Colin, we'll start with you on what you do and what Ackland Avenue is.
I'm Colin Callahan, the CEO and co-founder of Ackland Avenue. We're a company that provides teams, complete teams of agile software development teams. Wait, I said that twice. Anyway, so we provide complete agile software development teams for innovative companies.
Very cool. Steve?
So I'm CEO of EdgeNet, about 120 customer-obsessed colleagues, and I help deliver a SaaS platform that allows manufacturers and retailers and e-com and industries like aftermarket automotive, DIY, pet care, and consumer electronics to put attributes and content that have to do with logistics or anything it takes to ship a product, and also marketing, anything it takes to sell a product. And then our platform helps manufacturers collect it. We help the management through data quality engines, and then syndicate it out to the endpoints in e-com.
Cool. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you being here. And I know I've known each of you for a while now, and we can't thank you enough for being a part of the conversation. So when I'm asking these questions, I want you to think about a couple of things. I want you to think about where you've been, where you are today, and what the next iteration looks like. So what you're planning to do in the future. So the first question that I want to ask is, what are your current efforts in terms of how your company is making hiring of female professionals in your companies? So Steve, you want to start with that?
Sure. So, when Beth and I talked about coming to this event, I wanted to make sure that it was said that we're still evolving. But for me and our business, I think the most important thing that we do right now is make sure it's part of our conversation. I think there's a couple things that people generally get. Women in the technology space has been underserved for both the companies and for women. And when we all put this business together, we thought, let's be the business we hoped we'd be. And one of the things we hoped we'd be would be a place that it's about talent and ideas and opportunity to impact the business, and not about some of these other comfortable and maybe sometimes subconscious decisions people make on when it comes to gender, or those who look or act or sound like you as a manager. So for us, it was, let's get the conversation going was step one. Also, we had to make some tough calls early. Those of you out there who are part of startups or running businesses, I can tell you personally, I've been a part of a decision, my partner and I, where we had, we can hire, up to 10 or folks a month now, but there was a time we had one precious hire to make over about a 3-month period of time. And our very best candidate was 8 months pregnant. And so to me, those are the times where you like define your culture. Like at that, it's easy to, not easy, but it's nice of folks to be part of the conversation or support groups like Girls Get It or Girl Geek Dinner or NTC, and out there with the right message. Those things are important, STEM. But it's yet another thing to be faced with, I need someone today, the very best candidate is 8 months pregnant. What are we going to do? And in that case, we hired the very best candidate, and we ended up giving 4 or 5 months of maternity leave on the other end of of giving birth. And to me, that was the minute that our DNA was set. So I would say we look for an opportunity to set our DNA and then constantly revisit the issue and then make it part of the conversation. And it's probably, as I mentioned to Beth last week, I don't think this is a goal you ever meet. It's never like you finish the goal line. Yes, we're finally gender equality. I mean, if you're not constantly maintaining this garden where weeds can grow, then it won't be a garden anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you make. I mean, there's no like special secret to this in terms of what companies are doing. We need to constantly change and constantly evolve and try new things, because if there was, this magical formula and for this, then we wouldn't have a gender equality issue. We wouldn't have a pay inequality issue. So I think it's really important for us to keep evolving and keep changing and figure out what works and what doesn't. So Colin, talk to me about, like, in terms of hiring like female professionals, what is your strategy and how does your company make sure you're diverse?
So we have, you probably know, we have a big presence in Honduras. So we have about 70, 75 people in Honduras, and some of the problems we were seeing as far as trying to be as diverse as possible was we weren't getting enough candidates. So we sort of assumed that it was because maybe girls at a younger age weren't being exposed to technology or just didn't feel like they fit in that world. So one of the things we're doing is about a year and a half ago, I met a guy who he's on the board of girls' school, a girls' home in Honduras. And so we were talking to him about what he thought was missing for them. And he said, yeah, there's not any technology being taught to them at all. So we decided to have a classroom down there. We painted the room, we bought some desks, we bought some computers, and on a weekly basis, some of the developers go and teach computer skills. The next thing that we're going to do is we're having, in about a month and a half, we're going to have representatives. We're going to have each role in the company, a woman from each role in the company, go and explain to these girls what they do, because there's not just developers. There's QA people, there's designers, there's product owners, and there's scrum masters. And so they're going to go and just try and get them a little bit more excited and show them that they are, that they belong in this world as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to make note of. It's not just development roles. There's a bunch of tech opportunities out there for women that don't involve coding. And I think that's a little bit of a stigma in terms of what technology actually is. So I love the story about the girls, which kind of reminds me why we started this whole group to begin with, because what was happening here in Nashville, and still is today, is all these companies are borrowing from each other. Like, oh, we need women, so we're going to borrow from that company. And it's just creating like a round robin type of approach. And it's inflating salaries, and people are getting really competitive, and no one's staying anywhere long. But no one's really doing anything about the pipeline, right? And how do we reach women at an earlier age and encourage them to pursue a tech career because they are good enough, and because they are smart enough, and because they deserve a fulfilling career and doing work that matters. So I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
And it's cool for them too. If they meet some of these women at our company, they're the coolest people, like Colleen. Anyway.
Colleen's back in the back, by the way. Say hello, Colleen. Hello.
Julie's getting no credit.
Julia's here too. So we have a couple representatives from that are help here supporting these guys from Ackland and EdgeNet. I even told them, I said, hey, if you guys have questions, want to put your bosses on the spot, feel free. Yeah. They might get you later, but hey, it's cool. So let's go on to the second question. So the second question is, why do you feel like it's important for more women to be considered in technical positions? So Steve, you want to go with that one?
So I think the point was made, and I think it's a good one, that technology isn't always about the technical position. I would just say that when it comes to strictly technical position, the number of candidates, it isn't like you're like 50-50. Like there's so many women applying. when we have women that do apply, and based on their background, we'd love to bring them part of our EdgeNet family. I will tell you that, again, back in the lessons learned category, when you have women that are very competent in programming or technical expertise, the onus is to further that career, not thinking so many times that, at least I've seen in businesses I've been in, where someone competent in like a program or technical capacity, you want to put in front of customers in a sales role. Like there's a natural magnetism to try to get somebody in it. And so we try to show some discipline about that. But I do think, obviously, this community is going to need more folks, to your point, Beth, that know how to, or are proficient in technology. Right. So, and technically. So the fact that it's important for more women to get in there is important for us as a business, that we have more folks to hire from in this community. I mean, if it's underserved, it's a resource. So I see it as really strictly in a business sense. Having more is better when it comes to technical proficiency in Nashville. And women's a great place to try to get that, to make that happen.
Cool. Anything to add to that?
I think that it's just, women should be able to have the same opportunities that men have, just because it's fun. Like, I was a developer for a long time, and it's just, it's an amazing experience to contribute to a team in that way. And so why shouldn't women be involved in that and have that opportunity as well? Right.
And we had another Facebook Live a couple of months ago, and it kind of reminded me of this. And maybe we do a better job of looking at women internally that can move into technical roles too, and just identifying strengths. I think it was Jeannie a couple of months ago, and she even said hey, I was a research assistant doing analytics, and they were just hey, you're really good at the numbers piece. Have you thought about data analytics or moving into business intelligence? So basically recognizing female talent from what their strengths are, and then moving into technical roles based upon what they've done in the past and how that translates into other positions.
Yeah,
that's great. So what tips do you have for executives to consider while cultivating the next generation of female leaders? So things that you've seen that has worked, some things that maybe didn't work, and what you have plans next for basically growing leadership in your company.
Yeah, I'm happy to go.
Whoever wants to take it.
You go.
Yeah, please, no.
Well, I think the best place to start is sort of with doing a little bit of a deep dive on yourself. So some self-awareness in the areas of unconscious bias and just reading some studies about things. My wife told me about a study that I will botch this, but she said that basically some researchers took a stack of resumes and put men's name on them, and then stack of resumes and put women's names on them, and then submitted them, and then most of the men got hired, and the women that did get hired got offered much lower salaries. And so I think that when you present something like that to people, it can give you a little room to kind of think about it, do I do anything like that? So I think that it definitely starts with your own sort of internal journey of noticing your own habits that before bringing that to the rest of the team.
Anything to add to that, Steve?
What was the question again?
Yeah. So what advice do you have for executives to consider while cultivating the next generation of women leaders?
So I'll make my answer pretty short, but I think to cultivate the next generation of women leaders, you also have to acknowledge you're cultivating the next generation of men leaders. You're doing both. And I believe when men are in young men leaders or male leaders are in an environment where the conversation's open, that we talk about what resumes might come in and what goes and what does not go here, that those principles help with that next generation on both sides. That to me is kind of the biggest responsibility we have, is the 20-somethings that work in we have some incredible folks. I always like to say, meet someone from EdgeNet, be nice to them, you'll likely report to them someday. That we're going to have some incredible leaders that come out of this company, and the fact that they take the DNA of having the discussion of what it means of gender equity, some of the hard decisions you'll have to make, not just some of the headlines or some of the PR things where it's easy to say, but to do them. I think that's the way you institute change.
Right. Another question I want to throw out there is, like study after study have shown that like the average female lasts about 7 years in tech, and that happens for a lot of different reasons. But if you kind of think about it, it kind of goes with, 7 years out of tech, so 22 graduating, and then like 28, 29. And a lot of those are, childbearing years where, these young women are starting families and going on maternity leave. I know from the company that I work at, about 50% of these females who end up having babies don't come back to work. So is there anything in particular that you guys have thought about to help solve that problem of getting more women to come back from maternity leave?
I don't think we've had anyone not come back from maternity leave, so I've not seen that as a challenge.
Okay. Colin, have you seen that problem at all?
Well, we might soon. I don't know if Colleen wants me to say it, but it's too late. She's having a baby. Right? And so,
yay, Colleen.
Julia, you're not pregnant, right? Okay, she's not having a baby.
Okay,
equal time.
So Colleen, if your husband is watching, he knows.
Yeah, we're
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, she's pretty close, couple months off, and I would say that we had talked about this earlier. It's like we're pretty agile about things. We're going to kind of see how this goes and see how we can make it work. I was really excited when she said that she was having a baby. She was a little worried telling me, and but I think it's just about being flexible and not saying this is how your role has to be. We're kind of making it up as we go. And I think that's going to make Colleen want to come back to that. I mean, we're just making it work somehow. Take off the time you need if you feel like you want to come back at it, for a few hours a week just to reach out. Let's just kind of set that up, and she's going to help us set up what that looks like for people in the future as well.
I will add this: we're recruiting a business lead who has twins that are about 1.5 years old. And so hopefully we're basically saying, what can we do, right? That the talent of that make the business driver of what that person can add, kind of the next stuff of how you accommodate it comes naturally.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest deterrents is because technology jobs are so demanding, right? And being on call and having those things that just come with the job, I think not having like a policy and just doing it on a case-by-case basis and doing what's best for the employee, I think makes a huge difference. And then you have that loyalty factor, like, oh, well, they did these things because they care about me and my family. And so I'm going to come back because that's what really matters to me, right? Yeah. So awesome. Cool. Well, that is going to be it for today. That went by really fast, didn't it? Like that. So thanks for joining us. A couple of things to take note of for our Women Get It community. Our next mentoring event is Thursday, March 22nd. It's going to be at Lipscomb University. We are starting a little bit early this time just to fit in all those fun activities that you guys are used to and having more time for networking at these live events. So we're going to be starting at 5:30 this time. Also, I don't know if you guys noticed my hat. I'll get in like a little bit closer. How awesome is it, right? Take control. So it is up on our e-commerce page on womengetit.net. If you click on shop, that'll take you right to it. And if you use the promo code LIVE, L-I-V-E, you get 10% off your entire purchase. So make sure you take advantage of that deal. Also, we have a new webinar series that is coming out. We're partnering with Tech Tribe Thrive. So that's going to be launching on Monday, March 26th. It's actually international, or not international, that was last week. International Women's Day was last week. It is Women Get It Day. National Women Get It Day is March 26th. And the reason why we say that is because it's National Make Up Your Own Holiday Day. So naturally, it's National Women Get It Day. So we're going to be launching that webinar series on that day. It's going to be Architecting Your Tech Career. So the first one's only $1, so make sure you check that out. and help you grow and navigate your tech career. So we appreciate you guys joining in. Make sure to use the Women Get It hashtag. Let us know what you guys think and what topics you want to hear next. See you later. Bye.
Yay.